I'm attempting Halo Reach without guns. Watch to the end to see if it's possible. Me and the boys roll out in super suits soon as we get a notification that some farmers got spooked by a loud noise, which is a perfectly legit reason to summon the most expensive soldiers in existence. Turns out the sound was coming from an alien invasion. It's a good thing they summoned the Spartans. How else would you fight off an invasion? Sanctions? I got to witness what it looks like when a Spartan gets cut in half. I stole a car and drove into battle. After several bloodbaths, I imprint my cheeks on the stranger's couch before harassing my coworker for being slow. I pounded Segsy's shopping cart so hard he couldn't walk right. I decided to give away the stolen cart to whoever could keep their hand on it the longest and rejoin Team Noble in fighting space crime like a sci-fi Batman because I don't use guns. After brutally battering beasts from beyond reach, I joined the homies in a bomb shelter where the terrestrial extras were hiding in the ceiling to eat us. A single penetration from their plasma stabbies lights out, so I tried the sticky one before it got to me, which resulted in my first funeral. After stacking the enemy's bodies, Kidden invented the radio and Cartisserie Chicken called for help. Arnold sends us his choppers to bring us home for dinner, but Covenant is the only item on the menu because our base is being invaded. I run past the army of idiots just to find out the garage door is broken. I have to wait on Kat to fix it with her nerd skills while I'm backed into a corner by dinosaur people, which is a normal 343 industry weekend. I realize I have to eliminate the frogs myself because the AIs are almost useless in this game, which we'll talk about more in a moment. As we wait for the janitor to clean the amphibianoids off the base, we progress outside where Wraith flattens me. Then after dying the friendly fire, I form rocket hog position and drive to a keypad to turn on anti-air force gun. I activate a stick shift and then we drive back to the sword base and fight beefy worm people before going down an elevator so fast it was basically a drop chute. We fight our way through a hotel lobby where I give the Marines a rocket launcher so they can take care of the Banshees that are required to complete this level. George gives me all the credit for this victory where I never pulled the trigger once. Then we meet his mommy who threatens to throw Carter in prison for accidentally dripping sweat on her Amazon package. June and I were sent to get a jump on the incoming Covenant forces with possibly the best weapon in the game, but he said not to waste his expensive bullets, so I didn't use a single one. I fought only the enemies in my path till I got my forklift permit, which I assumed I could run over people in a glorious bloody blaze like they do in German training videos, but apparently forklifts do not operate the same way as they do in real life, so that's a huge letdown. I drive past the Star Wars monsters and get my whip stuck in some rocks, which I could have gotten unstuck if the fork parts of the lift were actually operable. While trying to flip it out of the boulders, it self-destructs and respawns me to try again, to which I fail and give up. The next fight wasn't optional, so I had to fight hunters who I fisted from behind until their internal organs prolapsed and they fell over dead. There was no dividers between the toilets, which is fine because I'm a Spartan and we're not poop shy at all. After showing our Spartan rears to the camera, we gawked at the massive Covenant rave and decided tomorrow to send an invasion on their invasion. Hello friends, today I'm partnering up with my good friend Catastrophe. I call her that because she sucks at driving. God damn it, Cat, you could have killed me again. Let me know in the comments if this should be called a gaggle of ghosts. I went inside a Halo convention and told the cosplayers to subscribe to my YouTube channel, which got me kicked out. Then the security guard gave me trouble, so I ended him. I scared them with a bomb threat and stole this dude's ride. This Wraith commit friendly fire. This ghost couldn't go through walls, so I wedged it in like a peanut butter sandwich on a school bus seat so I could drive upstairs to get the Zealot to sign my helmet, but I accidentally killed him. I drive past hunters to blow up the next tower, but they tried to stop me, but my breakdance skills were so lit I stepped around all their attacks and detonated without hurting anybody. They sacrificed a tank just to push me off their lawn, technically our lawn because they're invading. We're just invading them back because two wrongs make a right. This hunter was a Tony Hawk type and helped me do a backside air flip on my purple skateboard. Apparently you can beat them with a ghost's ram attack, which is something I never thought to do before. However, I got stuck after driving off the cliff where I could walk under the broken skate park bridge, but unable to get back up. I had to confront my fear of falling. Eventually, I got to take a scenic drive in a helo where I got shot at with no way to defend myself. I experienced my second crash of the day. I'll have more brain damage than Muhammad Ali before I get released, which I will then become a mentally ill homeless vet on the side of the street. Unless I die in a glorious blaze in battle. I grab myself a jeep and follow all the traffic laws on my way to Sauron's tower. Upstairs, I get lucky and get 2 attacks on the elite before he would decimate my insides, so I get to pick up his sword and be the one going into others' guts. After a quick skydive session, a big ship pew-pews the tower before an even bigger fish comes and does the same to the first ship because the only way to fight bullies is with lasers. We run across the beach to get into the spaceships where we fight other spaceships before we have to fight another spaceship, and the most painful part about this was trying to attack the enemies in space because you can't use the guns, and I was trying to avoid rockets, but I ended up having to use that against the motors of the mothership, and you know what I did? I thought I could push it out of bounds, which is something that I did for the Phantoms, and that didn't work. And if you're about to say this disqualifies the run because I used rocket, excuse me, a rocket is like a grenade duct taped to a jetpack, and I'm allowed to use jetpacks and grenades, so why not both? The Banshees could pretty easily be killed by running the ship into them. Meanwhile, the Seraph, you'd have to run in them once to take down the shield, then twice more to defeat them, or somehow manage to slide directly up into the engine, which I only did successfully once. And the Phantoms were really easy, because once you push them out of the bounds of the map, then they will despawn after a short bit. This was simultaneously the hardest, yet also the easiest part, because you could just go AFK. I did that for 3 hours, and that finally got me through the Seraph wave on my second try. An elite had dropped a glow stick inside the station before we left, so I carried that onto the ship to one-shot these elites. Jorge brought the bomb inside the shrimp, and I had orders to go and set it on a refueling path so it would blow up the entire fleet. We broke into the control room and killed their guards so we can press their buttons. Because there was no Wi-Fi to remote detonate the bomb, Jorge had to stay behind and do it manually, so he sacrificed himself. At least it wasn't me. After crash landing, I headed to the nearest war zone to get shot. These kamikaze grunts actually killed me several times before I was finally able to get past. Everything went about exactly the same as it's been going up until I got my own helicopter. Assassinating, running around to do the tasks before running back. And one of the greatest pleasures is sacrificing people to the airplanes as you drop them off while trying to get back on, but sometimes you fail and you have to parkour jump back into the ship as it falls. We returned to Sword Base not to deliver an Amazon package, but to pick one up for Halsey, because we were going to bring it somewhere else that was supposed to be really important. We waited outside her front door, but there were some people trying to break in, so I stole their tank and ran them over with it. After fighting off all the alligator people, we went inside to see what Halsey was up to. She gives me a can of G Fuel so I can pass it on to Master Chief so he can become the galaxy's best Giga Chad. Things dialed up to 11 once the Covenant found out what we were carrying on board because they really wanted some of this spicy powder. Pro tip, do not put it in your airplane's engine, it will explode. We carried forward on foot until we found our abandoned Amazon truck. I repeatedly destroyed company property before I was finally able to make this jump while sacrificing the vehicle in the process. Like the coward I am, I ran past all these enemies because I was tired of punching people. It's quite the arm workout. I am not advising you to hurt people for exercise. I don't understand how people are so afraid of hunters. They're like marshmallows. You just walk behind them and eat their ass. The drop gravity hammer made this next part super easy.
Touch this.
I handed the package off to Captain Padlock, who asked me why I always wore a helmet, and I told him if I took it off everybody would die because that's just how ugly I am. Then a plane almost fell on me and then Emily died, so I had to go up onto the tower and make sure all the things died. Right now you're probably thinking to yourself, this disqualifies a run because I'm getting inside a huge plasma cannon, and I would say, yes, Halo Reach cannot be completed without guns because you are required to do it to shoot the spaceships in the sky.